Hey there and welcome to the Eco Renegade. So Vietnam has closed 86 million bank accounts. They've frozen them, seized the assets, but they've closed the accounts. And that's 43% of all the accounts. There's around 200 million in Vietnam. Really? And the quote that they give is, prevent fraud and cybercrime. It's always in your best interest, except when it isn't. Can you imagine that number, 86 million, how many millions of people and families that have actually gone into serious trouble because they cannot access their account, either because they refused or couldn't give, the digital ID. That's what they wanted. You had to register a digital ID with biometric data. Give more of your privacy away without your choice. And if you don't do it, we'll take your money, whether you like it or not. That sounds very similar to what they used to do with the banks. I cannot quite remember the name of them, but they'd go in, take the money without permission. I thought that was illegal, but obviously not if you're a government. And the Canadian government has already shown us how to do this because they closed the accounts of the truckers because of a peaceful protest. How the people that authorised that are not in jail serving long sentences, well, is anybody's guess, but the serious point here is it's coming here. They're pushing for digital IDs. And what's going to be the pushback? When is it going to stop? We had it during COVID. Oh, just get one vaccination and you'll be fine. And then they took away your permissions after you got your vaccine and said, no, actually you need another one and then another one. The point is these type of people, they keep on taking more and more. The more we give away our freedom, our power, the more they'll take. We are on the edge of a cliff. We don't actually act now and start saying enough is enough. Whether we have to form a brand new government, whatever it is we have to do, or just stop using cards, we have to show that we are not going to allow this or accept this. Because if we all stop going to work or we all stop using our cards, they'd pretty much listen to us rather quickly. And that's a choice we still have at the moment. If cash disappears, that choice is gone forever. And I wouldn't like to think of the world where we are controlled, where we can drive, where we can fly, what food we can eat, and the bank can choose whether to let you make that purchase or not. That's a dangerous road. And it really is quite scary, because just think of COVID during those times, you would be in deep trouble. You either get whatever the government's pushing, whether it's that, whether it's something else, whether it's a digital ID, or you pay the price. This isn't a democracy, this isn't freedom, and we should resist it as much as we can by choosing. Always choose an option that keeps our freedom alive. And at the moment, cash is the one thing that we still have a choice with. Think about it. Otherwise, where are we going to end up? I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. This is scary Orwellian stuff that if we don't do something about it, it is going to be too late. Pull ourselves back from this cliff before we do go over. Thanks for watching.
You will get a digital ID. You have no choice. But what if we do? Imagine if the whole of the UK decided not to sign up to the mandatory digital ID. Here's what would happen in the first 30 days. And by day 30, that's when the story really begins. Day 1, the rollout begins and nobody signs up. Millions are expected overnight, but online portals sit empty, mate. The press call it a national act of defiance, and the government are just sitting there looking shocked. Day 2 to 4, system stalls, but people start to adapt. Pharmacies go off book, doctors start handwriting notes, employers pay cash in hand. On the ground, life goes on, just not in the way Labour planned it. Day 5 to 7, benefits freeze, universal credit, pension, child support, but communities rally. Church halls, mosque, community centres turn into aid hubs. The state may hold the money, but people take care of their own. Day 8 to 12, the media splits. The Mirror and the Independent call it sabotage, but independent outlets call it for what it really is, a proper strike, mate. Here goes Keir Starmer on the news saying, parents should be thinking about their children. To the public, That man just sounds desperate. Day 13 to 17. Flights cancelled, Brits can't travel because their passport's invalid without a digital upgrade. Tourism collapses, airlines bleed, and the pound dips. Foreign commentators start paying attention, asking, are the UK boycotting their own government? Day 18 to 21. Hospital strain. Appointments carry on, but surgeries and prescriptions start to back up. But doctors and nurses are on this thing too. So they start whispering about breaking some rules. Here comes Starmer again. This is reckless. This is dangerous. Ain't that what we're trying to tell you? Day 22 to 25. Cash in hand spreads. Employers, landlords, shops, they all start leaning off the book. Official trade slows. The underground network grows. And the public keep moving even though the government are looking real stuck right now. Day 26 to 29. Parliament fractures as protests surge. Labour MPs face a social blackout. No one will talk to them, no shop will serve them, not even a handshake. Thank Ireland for this one. Day 30. A full month in, the refusal holds. System stalled, the economy bleeding, and the government cut off by the people. And the whole world sits waiting and watching. Who will break first? Turns out making digital IDs mandatory wasn't a strength, it was a weakness. And the whole system collapses the moment people stop playing along. But that was just the first month. Want to know what happens on month 2? Drop a comment below and follow if you're done watching passively. We decode the myth and we don't clap for crumbs.
南门社区设置数字化文明积分门牌，在积分制实行的基础上，为获得积分的居民制作文明积分门牌。门牌设置二维码，手机扫码就可以查看该户居民所得的文明积分，进一步弘扬文明风尚，培养居民良好的行为习惯和社会责任感，凝聚社会力量，营造共建、共治、共享社会治理新模式。
The one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it as a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC, and I think also extremely dangerous for central banks. Because ultimately, if you have different units of central bank money with different characteristics, or if you use central bank money as a conduit for economic policies in a very targeted way, or more broadly for social policies, that could really affect the integrity of central bank money and the integrity and independence of central banks. So there are wonderful notions of things that can be done with digital money, but again, I fear that technology could take us to a better place, but equally has the potential to take us to a pretty dark place.
Let's just talk briefly about the so-called digital ID. Now, to a lot of people, having an identification card to show who you are, what your date of birth is and so on, and maybe what your status in the UK is and what access or what rights of access you have to certain public services such as healthcare, education, whatever it may be, benefits and so on, housing. You might think that's a good idea, and in fact I'd agree with you, but that's not what the digital ID is about. The digital ID is about something far, far bigger and far more worrying. The government has this scheme called a digital wallet. They want you to access all public and private services, ultimately, online, electronically, digitally. To do that, you need to have a method of proving digitally who you are. And that is what the digital ID is about. All this guff and nonsense about it being a tool to deal with illegal working or unlawful working by immigrants who don't have the right to work, is just simply Keir Starmer and the government exploiting this digital wallet, trying to sell you the digital ID card on the basis of dealing with immigration, when actually what this is about is the government in hock to high-tech companies who are all behind this, being able to monitor everything you do, every service, public or private service that you access, being able to monitor that, shape it, and change your habits and behaviour in doing so. That's where this can lead. This is far bigger than just an ID card. And when they tell you that it will make your life easier, it will only make your life easier because the government will pass regulations and legislation to ensure you can only access those public and private sector services if you have the digital ID. That's the only reason it will make life easier, because they put obstacles in the way.
So with all the news about digital IDs, I had to do a little bit of a dig around to find why now. After all this time, after 5 years of all these boats coming over here, why now? So I had to dig around and I found this. Check this out.
If you want to defeat the populism of the right, you've got to have a strategy and a program that allows you to win and to govern effectively. And we do need radical change today. We are going to face a technological revolution that is the 21st century equivalent to the 19th century industrial revolution. It's going to change everything. And these are the challenges that are going to shape the future. And if we want to defeat the populism of the right, we've got to block off their attack on issues like immigration, and then we've got to develop an agenda that really rises up to the scale of that challenge.
Now, last time they tried to do this, it was all due to vaccination status. They wanted to know who's had the disease, who's been vaccinated against it. And it was the same chap.
You've got to understand, vaccination is going to be, in the end, your route to liberty. Vaccination is going to be, in the end, your route to liberty.
And now it's reared its head again, and like he said in the first clip, it's not anything to do with the people that are coming over here. It's not got anything to do with the security or the welfare. This is an act against everything that he's seeing right now. It's an act against what he's calling the right wing. So going back to the first clip, do you think that they created a problem to which they already had the solution for? And do you think the announcement was based on the reaction of what happened with the protests? Because if we're talking about Labour and protests, do you remember this advert?
This government wants to give the police the power to stop and search anyone attending a demonstration or protest. Boris Johnson is turning this country into an authoritarian state.
The police should not have the power to stop and search you on the street for no reason. These new powers would make that worse while criminalising protests at the same time.
Now, if that wasn't bad enough, this anti-protest bill would also introduce ASBOs for protesters. It'll limit what you can do on the internet, where you can go, and even who you can talk to. And if you don't comply, they'll throw you into prison. These draconian laws set new precedents. Precedents that won't end with just black people and protesters. That's why we need to kill this bill.
This was while they were in opposition. Obviously, they wanted the right to protest. Now they're in government, they want to take that away from you. Not only do they want to take that away from you, but because you're not on the side that they're on, they want to give you digital IDs. I'll leave you with this clip.
We cannot continue with business as usual, and change is inevitable. This is where technology, like digital ID, becomes critical. My institute's own analysis shows that introducing this in the UK would save at least $2 billion a year, and likely more, by reducing losses to fraud, improving tax collection, and better targeting of state support.
Stay wise, people. This is never ever what it was meant to be, and it is not what it seems. I'll do another more in-depth vid a little bit later on today.
There's a coordinated global policy push for digital IDs as the new form of government-issued identification credentials. And they're essentially all based on your biometric data, which can be your fingerprints, your face, the iris of your eyeball. And the idea is essentially to collect all of that data and have it housed or have it tied directly to your digital ID. So your physical ID will be mapped to the digital ID. Digital IDs are not really a separate project from CBDCs and this new digital financial system. In UN documentation and also documentation from the Bank of International Settlements, they very overtly state that CBDCs and digital IDs are meant to go together, and without digital IDs, the CBDC digital finance system cannot exist. They have to know who you are, and so they want to have your wallet tied to a digital ID and have that digital ID be mapped to your physical ID through the biometric data collection. One of the main reasons for this coordinated global push to develop digital IDs is because it's deemed essential to the entire Sustainable Development Agenda, which is the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, also known as Agenda 2030. And the specific part dealing with digital IDs is within SDG 16, which is about building peaceful and inclusive societies. One of the indicators of SDG 16, 16.9, calls for legal identification for everyone in the world from the time they're born, essentially. One of the main words they use to market this stuff is equity and inclusion. The idea that we need to include everybody in these new systems. But if you don't participate in digital ID, you won't have a legally recognized identity, you won't have rights, you won't be able to access services without it. So it's being framed as promoting inclusion, but the system itself is inherently exclusionary and has been used to track and surveil people, to link people to, essentially all their activities, what they say online in some of the countries that have rolled this out, and has been used to facilitate human rights abuses. So it's not exactly as inclusive as they like to claim. It's inclusive in the sense that we want everyone equally included in our new system that we're creating, our new control system, fundamentally. What happened with the vaccine passport was to link your identity to your travel, to the freedom of movement. And if you didn't have one, you were excluded from entering certain places. So that, again, highlights the idea of how these digital IDs are inherently exclusionary, because if you don't have one, then you're excluded from, moving where other people that have those privileges. And if you don't abide by these various stipulations, you're excluded from participating in those things.
What we're seeing today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low-orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates. It will make you a slave. And what do we do about this? What do? We resist. I'm going to tell you 3 rules that you all need to know and memorize. Number 1, every power that government takes from us, it will never relinquish voluntarily. Number 2, every power they take from us, they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number 3, nobody in history of the planet has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. Every time you comply, you get weaker. Bullies cannot be appeased. It just encourages them to new forms of torture and torment. Every time you say yes, you're getting pushed back to a weaker position. That's why we need to resist today.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Haoyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Huijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News, Beijing.